Welcome to the Scene Weekly podcast, where two part-time cinematics give their best mid-level takes on things on screens. This week's episode is focused on the newest translation of Mary Shelley's magnum opus, Frankenstein. Come join Jonathan and Stephen for another week of hopefully less plot chatter and copious more film banter. We are Scene Weekly, and welcome to our world. It's been a while.
How we doing? Alive, though, you know? This podcast is alive. It's been resurrected in its many forms.
I know something else that has been alive for a number of years, specifically 41.
Yeah.
And it's that guy. So happy birthday,
Thanks,
my friend.
guys. Thanks, everybody. Yay. I know last year, I think I know we kind of made it more of a hoopla because it was the big 4-0. But now after that, like, what else is there, you know?
There's potential death.
Okay.
Definitely death coming sometimes, sooner than later. But 50 is really it. But 50 is like where you get the black balloons, right? And you're over the hill officially.
Oh, officially.
That's what it is. Because at least it was in elementary and middle school. I don't know if that's still a thing anymore. But
black balloons. See, I always look at it like LeBron James is still playing basketball right now in the NBA, right? He's my age. Okay. I don't see him like at 50 years old. Like, you don't get anybody in pro sports really playing past their 50-year-old, you know? They're not getting paid. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, they're over the hill.
Yeah, exactly.
Black balloons. That's right. What sport could you play the longest? Golf?
Golf, yeah. I think golf, you could be pretty competitive. But like
baseball, there's some older. I mean, Tom Brady played for a while in a sport that is
he's an outlier.
Very difficult.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I mean, LeBron's an outlier too, though.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. He's not doing so hot, from what I can tell. But nonetheless, how did we get here?
I think we were like, hey, let's do another podcast. And this is a movie that's readily available on streaming right now. You didn't have to go to the movie theaters to see it. It's just like right there.
Brand new.
Brand new. Yeah.
Very strange. Can I add this? Can I get all of my negativity out of the way, and then I'll turn to positive?
Oh yeah, let's get the negative.
Because I would rather dwell on the negative. Well, you should probably start with the positive. But as background, I love Frankenstein, the story. I love Mary Shelley's just idea of just heading out to the woods with her friends to create a story on the fly and have this competition. I've read the book more than any other book. I know that you don't read books frequently or often in a consecutive manner, and or even in the future. It's like a one and done type of thing. One night stands with you is really where it is with books, huh?
Yeah, I don't.
And so there's no two night stands, and they don't exist. I love rereading books, and so I've read it 6 or 7 times probably.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
It was one of those consecutive ones. I read it once in college, and then I read it immediately after. Just kept going, basically. It's like, this is so good. Anyway, with that being said, I will say I was completely and utterly biased. I didn't know it, actually, because I was like, oh yeah, like the trailer looked pretty fantastic. And leading up to this, it was very odd, I guess, to some extent, because I didn't even realize I'm off social media. I don't have any news sources, basically. And I saw the trailer. I think it just came out like weeks ago, not even months. It was like on a week, 3 weeks. I think I've seen it. And then it's out. And I knew this because I was scrolling through Netflix to put a show on for my daughter. And I was like, what the fuck? This is out? Like 3 weeks ago, I just watched the trailer for the first time. Anyway, to go back to the original statement, I love Frankenstein and I love the original source material and the history behind it. With that said, this movie, as you know, I mean, if you know the original story, is very different than the source material, like extremely different in small nuanced ways. And also just like the overarching activity of pretty much the whole movie is different than the book. The premise, of course, is the same. Guy creates a monster creature. Anyway, so I come into this very biased. Okay, I will say that. All right. I didn't know I was biased. And initially,
how did you not know you were not biased? Like being a fan of like reading the book 7 times and like you're gonna.
I was excited for the actual like movie because I was like Pan's Labyrinth, The Shape of Water. I don't particularly like, but I love G, if I can call him that. I don't know if anyone in his life does, but fantastic. Like Pan's Labyrinth is one of my favorite movies of all time. So I knew that his rendition would be great, or I thought it would be. But initially, in the first 15 minutes, I was like, "Oh, this is gross." Like just doing fight scenes, and he's just throwing people around. I was like, "What is going on?" It's like a video game character of Frankenstein. So that put me off. I will say this: I thought it would take a while to get me back, but I came back pretty
Okay.
quickly. Like
That's interesting
pretty
because I
fast.
do want to talk about that that opening here, and I think it was definitely like uh, you know how they teach you in English class early on to like that first like couple paragraphs like to really like get the reader's attention. And
Yeah,
this was kind of like that idea with like even if you're not a fan or you are a fan of the Mary Shelley version of this story, I think this was like the opening scene of seeing the creature basically be a superhero and move ships and take bullets and all of these things. Kind of gets your attention of like what the hell is going on with this movie. And then after that, it becomes this very somber, epic kind of fantastical tale, which I liked a lot better than I was hoping that it wasn't going to go this whole superhero video game route because it
yeah,
seemed like it was doing
yeah,
that at first. But I did like that it kind of grabbed your attention and like, oh, what is this story going to be? Where are we going with this?
yeah. I was confused as well. I was like, or interested, I should say, but it was. I was like hating on it so massively in that first little bit because I was like, "A, this is very different. It's not maybe." By the way, I've watched it twice back to back. Again, like rereading things, I like to rewatch things, and so when I finished the movie, and I'll go into it in a second of my total feeling, or at the end, I should say. But on the second watch, it was really the best. Because I think all my biases were completely removed, or at least like I guess I was like my bias shifted for the movie, which is like a weird thing to say, but nonetheless, I was hating on it originally because I was like, Prelude, like why do they still do this in movies? And I know that he was trying. His original thought was to make it into a 3-part movie. You have like Victor's background, the creature's background, and a mixture. But like, um, I do like a good Victorian set, though.
Oh
I
yeah.
was talking to a friend about this, but like real Victorian sets, which the everything here is, including the ship, which is just
That's the
fantastic. I
thing.
mean, I had to look it up. I was like, is this CGI? Because I didn't look up any interviews or anything like that. I did see a one clip. Again, I'm not on social media, but like I saw one clip of him talking about the drinking of milk, which we can talk about too in a second. But I was like, is this CGI? I was like, this is crazy good. Like unbelievable. Not the fox, the wolves, but like the sets. I was like, these are complex.
That's the thing with Guillermo.
Yeah.
He likes he's very very he's a filmmaker that puts a lot of emphasis on every single part of the filmmaking process, whether that's set design, costume design, makeup, cinematography. And he makes sure this was like kind of like in part of like the Netflix mini documentary about this, where he makes sure that every single department is talking to each other and like cross coordinating, because if like the costume design doesn't talk to the set design people, then something's going to be off a little bit. And like he does these things where like, and this is one thing that I have like a problem with like a lot of more recent movies, is that you get a lot of this kind of blurry background and
Yeah.
you kind of focus on the character's face or whatever like that. But what this movie does, it really puts that epic scope, that Victorian kind of setting into the film, and you get to see every little detail that's going on in there, which is beautiful.
Oh, it's gorgeous, and the camera angles and everything, and in the setup is just terrific. Can you believe that Neil Patrick Harris was like first dubbed to be the
What?
monster, the creature?
Are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
I
Is this
was.
a
I don't know. I saw it on Reddit. Like, I don't know if it's true or not, but like wild. Like he would be.
I heard that
I think it'd be a.
Jacob Elordi was the second choice, but I didn't know to who.
It must have been Neil. I don't know. I mean, who else would be good? Anyway, I think this iteration by the end of the second watch, and here's a big bomb. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I thought the movie was better than the original source material for the book. And that is wild, wild statement. And it was only after the second watch that, to some extent, it this is going to sound cheesy and so out of left field, but like it felt like one of the like Rudy, like a good feel
Yeah.
movie where there is this more morbid curiosity of the creature, but it becomes this intellectualized, like helpful to society creature, still angry, of course, at his creator, but like really does forgive at the end, and like kind of becomes a massive intellectual and like really desirous of information and kind of being good to the world, whereas like the monster in the book is just a violent fuck that kills everything, including Victor's wife and his brother, and just like torments the countryside and can't accept the fact that society is, and you turn the dark path, which is freaking cool in and of itself. I didn't know there could be like a separate interpretation that would actually work and be really, really cool. But I liken it to like a Rudy, like a feel good
Yeah.
story
Yeah.
of Frankenstein, or like Green Book kind of, where like just like it makes you feel good. So I guess people could potentially hate on this movie because of that like view of it, but I like making Victor more of the monster ultimately in the
Because
end
that's what he is,
than
I think. Like,
he is. Yeah, 100%. He's a monster for sure.
if you if you
Um,
think you can play God, and then I mean, it all stems from like this interpretation is a lot more of the father son dynamic of like what it means to have been raised by a father that is very you have that trauma that Victor had, that was he wasn't accepted, and then he passes that down to the creature. In a sense, he does the same thing, like whipping
oh,
him.
by like 10 times.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like he doesn't even realize he's doing it because he doesn't think of this creature as his creation.
He also doesn't think of it like kind of as, even though it appears, well, first of all, it only can speak one word, even though it does say Elizabeth in the last breath, what he thinks to be the last breath of his life. But with that said, he just thinks it's this dumb creature, although extremely, I mean, he put his, basically his whole life into it. But like, why not just give it a little more time? Like, what's your impatience? It took you years to make this, like decades. Like, why not just take a little bit of more time and be like, I'm gonna be nice to this thing. Maybe not chain it to like, the dungeon. So, I don't. Anyway, but I think it aids to the fact that like he is the true villain here. And I will say this: I think a lot of people, I'm guessing, I haven't looked this up, don't know any reviews of any of this type of nature, but I would imagine people are probably losing their shit on like how he looks, the creature. What were your thoughts initially, and then throughout the movie? Did that ever change
Um,
of how you viewed like how he looked?
so I don't know the actor Jacob Elordi. I don't have a history with him per se. I know that he was like in Euphoria and Saltburn, and he's a pretty dashing, good-looking guy, very tall, which helps. Um, but I thought that the costume design and the makeup, or even the prosthetics or whatever it was, like it really lent to this creature as being very, very sympathetic. Sorry. Getting a little emotional here. No. Uh, I think the creature design was great. I did laugh at somebody's review, because I do look at some reviews and tweets and posts and stuff like that, and they said, like, I really like the movie Frankenstein, but I do have to figure out why they made the creature look like a underwear model, which he kind of does.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I'm saying this word correctly, but he studied Japanese was a Buto dance. Have you ever seen this? I looked up a clip of this. It's freaking, it makes so much sense. And I don't know if this was like by guidance of anyone on set to make the character as it is, but like if you look up Buto dance, I don't even know how to explain it. It's basically as if somebody is glitching in the Matrix,
Okay.
or like playing an old video game and just like, like kind of moving around and falling in weird ways, but going up and down steps in very odd manners, pretty much like a creature would. And whoever's choice that was, maybe it's Jacob's, and trying to find like a rhythm to how he moves the creature. That was a brilliant way, and you could see this instantaneously when they're like like, trying to like find each other
Yeah.
on the bedpost. And I was like, that's a really cool shot. And you could tell instantaneously, like that Buto dance was like influencing his movements there. Anyway, my initial reaction was, what? Like,
Just what?
What did they do? Like that's how they're piecing this together. But I will say, it was less the way that G did it was perfect in that he was building the creature over I don't know how long the time period was, but it appeared to be a lengthy period of time for which you saw the pieces coming together
I mean,
and being adjusted.
let's talk about like the sawing off of legs and limbs and things like that. Like
Oof.
that's some good production
Oh,
models or whatever they did there. That was pretty freaky.
oh, and also like the femur being like
Ugh.
removed and replaced, and like the fingers, the intricacies of the
Yeah.
fingers. The human hand is crazy if you look at it like from a structural perspective. I'm not a doctor, clearly, but like the way that they were able to do stuff. If this doesn't win, like a multitude of Oscars, but specifically for anyone that's worked on the special effects, um, and the costume design, I just don't like. I don't know
Yeah.
what else is going to beat this, but it was stunning in some ways, but it was so like engrossing. After that first 15 minutes, I found myself not taking any notes, not just like really being, holy shit! Like I didn't know this movie, this source material could be played like
Yeah.
this, and I didn't know it was going to work well. But I was on the edge of my seat. Speaking of the monster, once it became when it halfway came to life in the first iteration, the electricity, when he moved the battery, I was like, "What?
Yeah.
This is
The
outstanding."
the first early scene where we're seeing Victor in that kind of chamber with all the scientists, and he has that half creature kind of there. I love that scene because it kind of shows like his germination of like this project that he's doing, and he's showing these scientists of the world like, this is what I can do, and look, this creature can catch a ball, and people are just they toss him to the side and say this is blasphemy.
Yeah, man. Could you imagine just coming into the world like that too? Just looking, it's a rough way to go. But I like how, I don't know if this was like purposeful or I'm just looking into it, but uh, it's as if like when he's being built, he's praying, and then when he's fully constructed, like he's now Jesus
Ah,
on the
yeah,
cross.
yeah.
It's like this weird translation of religion, some sort of religion coming to life. But I found it fascinating that he was in that prayer position. I found it very, I don't know. It seemed to like be perfect. Whereas just like the Leonardo da Vinci and like on your back and
Right.
your arms out, I thought that would have been, for whatever it's worth, maybe not
That
as
prayer
good.
position also is also kind of like a baby in the womb, not quite ready to come out yet. You know,
Yeah. Um, maybe. I
I don't
mean,
know.
babies are normally like this, but got a lot of babies in your womb. But I will say, looking back in again, I go back to the first 15 minutes, but like I will have to say about this, I don't like how this does exist. I mean, maybe other people do. I do prefer going to the movies.
I
I
was going to bring this
I
up. Yeah,
I initially don't like the idea of something this good, and I actually do think it doesn't detract from the movie itself. It does detract from the movie experience for sure, because I found myself multiple times being like, why? Like, why can't I? This should have been in the theaters, and then you could take it to Netflix. And it feels initially kind of like it's doing itself an injustice for something so impeccably shot. And it's kind of like it almost makes you force feed yourself to the idea that this is like straight to DVD movie. And it's not, clearly, but it really kind of upset me that this isn't like a huge released movie.
here's the thing, Jonathan.
You can both.
I like this is a big point of mine too because like I was excited when I first heard about this movie coming out, and it wasn't that long ago where I kind of realized that it was. I even went and bought tickets to go see because here in LA we had the Guillermo del Toro kind of like fan fest, and he did like this week long series of showing his films. And I went to this Hellboy screening, Hellboy 2, and Blade 2, back to back to back. But the cool thing is Guillermo del Toro got to come out and do a little Q&A, which was awesome. And he is so passionate about films, so passionate about, you know, creating his monsters and creatures and things like that. And this is a project that's been in the works for him for decades. And the fact that it had such a very limited theatrical release in like LA and New York, for the most part, and then it just went straight to streaming. This is a movie that should be seen on the biggest screen you can imagine.
100%. I mean, anyway, that was my biggest detractor of this. I mean, I'm looking at my movie theater now, and I didn't see it here. I saw it on my TV. I should have actually come down here in my basement, but like, I should have done that, to be honest with you. But it's still not the same.
Yeah,
it's not the same. It's not the same feeling.
I agree.
Imagine seeing. It's like watching any Avatar in at your 13-inch. Like,
I don't think I would
at home.
ever watch Avatar on a tablet or a TV, just because like I think that's part of the experience of seeing the movie is like being immersed in that world of Pandora. Like that's it.
That's fair. I've never seen it at home. Yeah.
Why would you?
I don't. I should be asking the question of why am I even watching Avatar to begin with?
Sure,
but that's for another day. The new one's out, I believe.
No, it comes out December, Christmas time, around that.
Oh, December 19th. That's right.
Yeah, Fire and Ash.
I will say, Elizabeth is Mia plays both the Victor's mom and the love interest.
Yeah, Mia
Elizabeth.
Goth.
And I was like, yeah. So that was an interesting point. I think that G brought up. I was like, hey, what are your thoughts here? You know, G, hey, what do you? But I did like. I like the idea that he made him pretty much immortal and invincible, and which is to some extent very similar to the book. I mean, he was kind of not immortal, but like he's a superhero in this book. Like he's holding dynamite. Great scene, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, spoiler alert. Holding dynamite and was like, well, I'm going to try this. You wanted to kill me? Let's see what happens, brother. And then he's like, but if this doesn't, I'm going to find you. And I was like, that's freaking amazing. And just not unfazed, but clearly going to be just fine. Just an epic scene.
Would you be pretty upset like this if you couldn't die, if like you were, you know, holding dynamite and just, you know, kept on trucking?
See, that's where I think that like good thing he's read enough, is well spoken enough. Although he's not going to be, you know, he's not going to find himself a bride as desired or a partner. That's that moment where like, while the movie has led us to believe that he's a good dude, he could turn and just start murking people from here on out. You know, I was waiting on it. I was like, maybe. I don't think there's not enough time to do that. I was like, maybe.
Yeah, I think the creature is, you know, he's 6'5". 90% of girls on their Hinge profiles, they have it set to 6 feet and higher. So I think he'd be doing just fine. He'd find somebody. Saying.
The problem. Immortal. The problem is I don't think he has a penis.
Okay. He didn't get that sewn on? That wasn't...
So,
you know?
I don't know. I mean, it didn't seem like there was anything there.
And maybe they cut that scene.
But...
I think that scene is like bonus feature DVD kind of stuff.
Yeah.
DVD-A or whatever.
Did you watch the because it immediately goes, if you just let Netflix roll, it immediately goes to the, I guess that interview you're talking about on 45 minutes, or I don't know how long it is. Did you watch that?
No, I didn't watch it. I watched, I heard about it through my girlfriend, Livia. She told me about it, but I need to watch it. I think I should.
This week's episode is sponsored by Soul Roots Running Company, where you can find the best covers for your feet that make you travel comfortably and quickly across sidewalks like Shell Silverstein. Soul Roots offers all varieties of running shoes, clothes, and accessories. And for 10% off, please use the code SCENE, SCENE, at checkout. And any order over $180 is free to ship anywhere in the continental United States. Head over to shop.soulrootsracing.com and fill up your cart for 10% off with the code SCENE. Jacob was so convincing of this character and was able to translate not only like the initial like awkwardness of like being a child effectively and growing up very quickly, and the lack of intelligence that he had, like pressing himself and protecting like the countryside and being the spirit of the forest,
cool.
which is a very cool aspect to this, because in the, if you were to juxtapose the two, the book and this, those are vastly different. Like he is peering into the countryside home just like he does in the movie here, but like he's not a nice person. Like he's everyone who sees him is not only captivated by how ugly he is, but they're repulsed and effectively run away, and then people start tormenting him, and then he torments them back and torments an entire countryside. But I like the fact that old blind man was very helpful to him, and it was very sad for that one single moment. And I'm glad he kind of got out of that unscathed. But I will say this again, going to the special effects of him just like peeling away the dude's face, I was like, wow. Like,
Yeah.
Anytime he did do something like gross or grotesque like that, I was like, yeah, like he deserves like to be a little mean to somebody from time to time,
That's another thing that I liked about the tone of this film, that it wasn't a horror movie, or it wasn't scary at all per se, but it did have it had horrific moments, and gruesome moments as well. But it didn't take away from like what that's the thing about this creature is Guillermo del Toro, from what I understand from difference from the book, is he made this character so sympathetic, and understanding that, like, I don't know, like in this movie, the creature becomes pretty intelligent and well read. Is that the same kind of thing in the book?
He's so there's in the book he becomes not as intellectual, no, but there's so many iterations. I think like 400 times Frankenstein is like mentioned in movies, which is wild. I don't know if that's even accurate, but I know that a lot of interpretations make him dumb, and never have that intellect. Like he's never a smart creature. Clearly he is here, smarter than any version of both the book and anything previous. But I like that more. I mean, it's kind of like typical humans, though, to some extent. Understanding your power and controlling it, unless somebody provokes you. But yeah, I like him as a smart creature. I think him as a dumb creature is just like not a dumb movie per se. It's just a more simpler version. It's like, oh, of course he's going to get angry because he can't control anything. He doesn't understand it. He's just going to murk people and murder. Which this is why I think this version, which is shocking for me to say, I do think it's actually better than the original source material and the original book.
I need to read the book, because I do know the history of, like, they were kind of out in the woods and they said, like, let's all come up with ghost stories. And this is like the beginning of that. She like kind of came up with this as like not a ghost story per se, but a creature story.
It'd be really funny if like her friends were like, that's not as good as Jack's over here, and she got like second place. Like, but if we went away for the weekend and she came out in like early 1800s and came out with this story from a weekend, I'd be like, bitch, you what?
What?
I'd be like, I don't ever want to go anywhere with you again. Like,
how do you think of this?
You're coming out with that?
Yeah.
It's pretty wild, dude. I mean, pretty fantastic. Yeah.
She was a better writer than her husband, right? Percy Shelley?
I actually do agree. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's a interesting love interest. But boy, I actually probably want to watch this again. This is what I tend to do. If I really enjoy a movie, I'll just continually run through it, because there's so many things to pick up.
Yeah,
on.
I had a different kind of viewing experience. Like, I started this movie and I got about halfway through, and I was like, this is so good. I need to watch this with my girlfriend. So like, I literally stopped and I was like, all right, we're going to watch this tomorrow night. And we did.
So I do that with so many movies and TV shows that I stop and I'm like, oh, she's gonna love this. However, I knew that I was gonna watch this again, and I knew that this podcast it was coming up, and I was like, I will immediately watch this again. So I just did the whole thing, and I was like,
Let's watch it.
we sat down last night and watched it again, and she was just like, kind of like you when you were like joking about your voice and tearing up. But she was like, "This is so good." Like kept saying it, kept saying it, kept saying it. This is so good. Oh my god! Like, come on, creature! Like, like cheering like Rudy for the creature, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I think that goes to Jacob's strength of really like taking something that I thought was ultimately a perfect and not even flawed character plus story and making it better. And that's I am not underselling Frankenstein, the story itself, Mrs. Shelley. I mean, it's one of the greatest stories in the history of anything written,
But I mean,
and this is just
but
beautiful.
let's think about like what Guillermo del Toro has been doing his entire career. Is he's been making vampire movies,
Pinocchio,
monster movies,
yeah.
Pinocchio, a retelling of Pinocchio in a lot darker sense. I mean, you can say what you want to say about Hellboy, but then he comes out with Pan's Labyrinth. Are you kidding
Oh,
me?
Pan's Labyrinth is. I'd have to go back and really think, but he overall some of his moves I don't really understand. Shape of Water, I like the visuals, but I just didn't like it at all. Hellboy is like, what?
Here's the thing. Okay, so I
saw-
watched it.
I saw Hellboy.
I watched it again.
Can I? Okay, well, go ahead.
I watched it again. Like I said, granted, I had Guillermo del Toro sitting right there while I was watching it. But like again, visually, incredible. Set design, incredible. Story, I'm not a big fan of the Hellboy story, but I thought like
No.
rewatching it, they don't make movies like this anymore. Unless they do, it's got to be Guillermo del Toro making it.
Yeah. So the thing about that movie, I've only seen it one single time, and this may actually be the reason I dislike the movie. But when I watched it in theaters, and so there was a moment towards the very end where I felt like there was a blip in the matrix, and or I missed like 10-minute scene and like the film fucked up or something, because it goes from like 70-80% through the movie, fast forward to like another scene, and I was like, wait, what just happened? Something just got skipped. I think
I
like
was
10
there
minutes
with
of film.
you.
So I know, but do you remember
I
that?
do. Yes. Yeah.
But you've seen it for the second time? Like, do you get that same feeling in in another watch?
No, the other watch, everything was coherent. So it must have been something with the projector. It had to have been.
Do you remember that? Because we were like, wait, what? I don't even know how he got here. Like, just like skipping literally like 10-minute, what I think to be 10 minutes. I was like, I'm very confused.
Yeah, this was
I don't
fully
like
coherent.
Hellboy.
This time.
Hellboy is like, I don't know. I guess if you like the comics, and yeah, I just didn't like.
Did you see Nightmare Alley? Is it one of the ones you watched?
I haven't seen that. I also I don't know what Nightmare Alley.
Oh man,
is.
I loved it.
Is that his movie?
Yeah.
Never heard of it. I also have not seen Pinocchio.
Oh, I was watching that last night, getting ready for this. I mean, getting ready, whatever. I was basically watching it last night as I fell asleep. But yeah, it's.
He said they're the same. They're the same version of the story, Frankenstein and Pinocchio, just different sides of the coin.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
that's why he wanted to go to just do Frankenstein, basically. Not next, but like
interesting double feature. Yeah, huh? Didn't know that.
Yeah, right. I mean, it makes sense, but boy, I think do you know what I want to sit down with him, old G, and have a conversation and be like, I don't know how much longer you have to live, but you're one of those that you're doing groundbreaking work and nobody can make a movie like you. And so don't waste your time on Hellboy. Even if you're interested, I understand. Just think of the totality of your career. Maybe choose, what I think Christopher Nolan is doing? Like, he was going to be the one to direct Troy. He gets a head, like, I don't know a word here, but he gets Batman Begins and the trilogy there starts. And so I like his trajectory and how he's choosing his movies. And ultimately, The Odyssey coming out, I am fucking amped because it's one of my favorite stories of all time. So all the stories behind it sound crazy, but I would skip out on the Hellboy shit. Don't do any of that anymore. Shape of Water, and focus on some
Pacific Rim.
maybe not. Yeah,
That's just a
could you imagine?
that's just a fun blockbuster. Not, but
Oh no.
I see where you're going. Focus on the Pan's Labyrinth, the Crimson Peak, the
Oh
Nightmare Alley, this kind of stuff. Yes, absolutely.
yeah. Like I mean, I don't think you can.
Can we?
When I saw Pan's Labyrinth,
Yeah,
it broke my idea of what a movie could actually be. I was like it was just one of those. I was just like, I'm bowing down to one of the greatest directors and minds in the history of cinema.
yeah.
It's just, it still is. Like it's one of those that is a mind fuck of a movie and edge of your
And it's
seat. And it's the
completely
same feeling in
original.
Frankenstein.
Completely original.
I mean, he's that head of his.
So it's interesting that he can take something that's not original in the Frankenstein story that's been done, what you said, 400 iterations in film and TV and whatnot and story, um, and make something completely, refresh it and new. And that takes a special
Well,
kind
there's
of
not.
talent.
Yeah, 100%. In this way, there's not 400 like movies.
Yeah.
There's 400 times that. Yeah, yeah. But like, it's you say Frankenstein, you Google Frankenstein, it still doesn't show. At least when I Googled it, it didn't show like the new Frankenstein. It's the old,
Yeah.
which
It's a classic.
it is a classic, and I just like I like his dress as well in the movie. Like especially at the very end when he's got lots of like layers on, he's moving boats and shit. Just he looks pretty
Hell yeah.
badass.
Do you know why we can like be thankful for Guillermo del Toro making movies? Like, do you know his story a little bit? I just
No,
found this out like
not at
a
all.
little while
Not
ago.
even remotely.
Um, he comes from like a pretty not poor, but like lower middle class Mexican family. And in 1969, his father won the lottery, uh,
What?
which allowed him to be surrounded by books and like get a film
Oh
camera as a
wow.
kid and like really like have the freedom to dabble into that kind of like that idea and be able to make his first like projects and student films and whatnot. So
That's
thankfully
cool.
for his father winning the lottery, we got to win the lottery for these movies.
Hey, look at
That's right,
that.
we all win.
Look at that. Look at that joke. I've been thinking about this all night. Can I fit this in? But I, as I've said before, we've been stricken by what I consider to be a very poor, and there are some highlights, but a very poor last 18 months ish of movies. Honora winning is like, no offense to Honora. Was it a bad film? No, but it's up there on my list of films that I just wish would have. The writers' strike. This is what you get,
Right.
and I think since we're out of that, it took a long time for us to get where we are now. But we maybe need more writer strikes in the future because like you have a shit year and then you have a concentration of those ideas where people are not writing and really stewing and making them great, and you get Frankenstein, and then you get the Odyssey, and then you get One Battle After Another, and you get these really terrific, well thought out movies that I'm very much looking forward to what the movie theater is gonna, if we can go to the movie theater, what this is gonna look like in 2026. Very excited.
Yeah, and that's what I hope. I hope that. I mean, I know gone are the days that these movies are going to stay in theaters for 3 months. Like we get maybe a 45-day window, if that. That's kind of long. And
Why can't you do both? I mean, you clearly can't do both because like money and that's the deciding factor. It has to be that. I don't know what it is, but like I don't know, make theaters smaller, maybe. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, cut costs somewhere,
yeah,
but
I don't know. I think
it's unfortunate.
I think hopefully that since we are a couple years removed from the writers and actor strike, that we're going to get more quality films and more things like this. But I just hope that we don't movies on this epic scale. I don't want to continue to get this direct to streaming kind of platform because then we all kind of lose on that collective enjoyment.
That collective enjoyment is exactly what it is. Do you ever? I mean, maybe you have an answer for this. Like, I don't really have an answer, even a single answer. But if you're like, do you ever remember the time that you like first watched or you watched this movie, and every one of those times I bet is not at home. It's in the theaters. You'd be like, "Oh, remember that day we saw like two towers?" Or like I don't know, like, "Oh yeah, it was really cold and I remember I got X, Y, or Z from the stand, and you were wearing some bum ass like jacket that your mom got you from the Starter magazine." Like you'll have these facts, but like you never say like, "Yeah, I was sitting at home and had a cup of tea." Like it's never the answer you're going to provide. So it's a core memory
It's a
effectively.
core memory, and it's also like the fact that like after the movie, whoever you saw it with, whatever group you were with or whatever like that, like you would go get some pizza and like talk about it, and have like a
Yeah.
conversation of like what you just saw. Like, we just saw Jurassic Park. Can you believe that we saw dinosaurs fucking walking the earth?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's funny. I mean, that was the whole origination of this podcast. Basically, is we would watch movies and then be like, I remember walking down the street after I don't even remember what the movie was, but I remember walking from the Upper West Side, and I was just like walking for 20 minutes talking about this. Maybe it was Locke,
Oh yeah.
but I remember talking about a movie, just obsessed about it. And after 10 years of that, we're like, why don't we just talk about it on YouTube?
Yeah,
But yeah,
record it.
that collective like reaction. I mean, you may have a big family member and 10 of you are watching a movie at home, but it's still not the same as
No,
like
it's
150,
not.
100 people that are in a theater now. Um, but I saw Gabby's Dollhouse in theaters recently. Great, great flick.
Just a bunch of kids just laughing out loud and loving it, right?
A little wild, to be honest with you. I mean, they were jumping around and dancing like when she was. It was a little, a little overwhelming at times. But why don't we rate this?
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm down for a glasses rating.
Yeah. So I, this is on my second watch. My first watch would have been a lower review, specifically for the first 15 minutes, because I think I was an angry boy with the world changing in front of me, an old man. But like on the second watch, I I love the fact I did look up some trivia, but I love the fact that the CGI, of course, for the animals had to exist, and it's almost as if some of the CGI, um, because it could be better, but I feel like they purposely make it not great for like PETA or like people to really truly be affected by animals dying. I actually had that thought, but and then you have humans being deconstructed, but the set design was just of epic proportion. The the characters, all of them, like every last one of them, were just so well thought out by G in the directing that I can't give this anything but five glasses. It just was an epic movie from a story I did not know could actually get better. I loved it, everything to do with it, and I hope it wins everything in the next Oscars.
I I'm I I'm right there with you on a lot of that. I think that the I was a little bit more not on the fence. I really liked the opening because I thought that it was it just kind of caught your attention and kind of like gave you like a what kind of story are we jumping into? I really like that he split it into the three different parts, whether it's the prelude, the Victor story, and you kind of get his slant on the story, and then you get the actual what you think is the actual story of like the creature story, and the epic scale of it, the visual design of it. I loved like even like just like the little ideas of like the Victor walking through a war torn battlefield and just picking out parts that he wants to
Yeah.
put his monster together. And it's like those are things I didn't even think about. Like, how did he find these body parts? Oh yeah, he walked through a war torn field and just picked out what was good. Um, just and I do like the sympathetic nature of the creature. Jacob Lordy, he's got a bright future ahead. I feel like he's gonna be pretty
Oof.
good. Um,
He had to spend like 10 hours in makeup
and did you
putting
know
on
that
the
he
prosthetics.
like if you do some more research, he's actually a photographer. He started being a photographer because he took a lot of photos
Mm-mm.
on set of just the process, the makeup, things that are going behind this, and really really good, really talented. But anyways, uh, Yeah, I was like kind of on that 4.5 to 5. Golden glasses. Let's go golden. Let's do golden glasses on this one. I like it.
Yes. Look at that. Yeah, I didn't know. I basically I was at 4.5, but if you're making a story that's one of the greatest stories of all time, in my opinion, better, then you can only go one way, and that has to be a golden
That makes
glass.
sense. Yeah, I like it.
I think if you watch it again, or even like rewatch it a third time, which I'll probably do here in a second, it's just so well constructed and so well thought out. I mean, I'm sure that there are people like me that were never convinced and were like, yeah, no. So it's so different than the book.
It's okay to be different.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's, this is it's a novel. It's not a nonfiction novel. It's a fictional piece. So like, if you have I mean, even then, like, look at Tarantino and the Inglorious Bastards ending, basically, of Hitler. So like, are people a non-fictional set of facts that Tarantino was like ripping up?
Yeah,
being like, nah, let's do it this way.
Or look at like The Shining, and Stanley Kubrick, like
very
basically
different.
taking that source text and making it his own. Like that's what I think artists should do. It's the easy way out is trying to make it the exact same as what's on the page. No, do something fucking different.
Also, the Shining King hated.
Yeah,
I think he still hates
Probably.
it. Which, that's one of those things that, dude, you got to give props. It's better than your book. No offense, just better than your book. What are you gonna do about it, King? Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, dude. Like, poll the world and see what they think, and then come back to your analysis. And I guarantee the majority, at least a 60% majority, are going to be like, yeah, that The Shining is much better than the book. And then you're going to go back and be like, okay, I was wrong. Why don't you do that, King, Mr. King? Anyway, I miss Mr. King when he used to get all coked up and drugged up and drunk and write books.
Didn't he direct a movie?
Those
What was that
days.
the movie that he directed?
1980 movie of mass proportions called Maximum Overdrive. Yes.
Yeah, I think he was on a little bit of uppers back then.
Glorious masterpiece of utter shit. Like, I mean, although it's like, it's one of those 80s flicks that can only really happen in the 80s. Cheese factory of like semi trucks taking over with their minds. I don't know. Anyway, a weird one. But yeah, he did direct. I think that was it. He was done directing.
Done. He's like, I can't make a better movie than Kubrick, so I'm going to stop.
Yeah. Yes. But anyway, until next time, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And we'll be back soon enough.